Aloha and welcome to A Word with Ward, WWW. And today we have the privilege of having two community leaders talk about a very heated, important, I would say one of the most important land use issues probably in the Hawaii Kai community over the last decade. I'm Representative Gene Ward. I represent the area of Kalama Valley to Hawaii Kai. And two of my constituents, two residents, and two of the most informed people about this issue are Paige Altonn, a member of the neighborhood board. Paige, welcome.
Thank you.
And Laura Buck, also a member of our Hawaii Kai community.
Yes.
Now, before we talk about the issue about the Great Lawn and the proposal to put a strip mall, let us get a little bit of the background of who we are, who we're talking about. Now, you've been on the neighborhood board. Give us a bit of your background so people will get a sense of, yeah, we're not just having people say something because we want to stack the deck on the issue. We want to know who we are and what we know about the community. So, Paige?
Well, I've been on the neighborhood board. I just got reappointed to my position for Subdistrict 11, which is the Portlock Kokokai Triangle area. And those are my constituents. And I've been there for a year now. So this is a subject about the Great Lawn that's been coming up since the middle of last summer, actually.
It's been
bantered back and forth, and you have it almost every month. You have a blurb on it in your newsletter.
To keep an update, and that's what
Yes.
we want to do today, is to give you an update before a town hall meeting that's going to be coming up near the end of March, and we're in the beginning of March. But Laura Buck, welcome in. What are some of the things that you want viewers, no matter where they are, whether they're Hawaii Kai or on Maui, to know about you?
I'm a mother of three. I've been a sole proprietor since 1997. I enjoy serving my community through multiple PTSAs, the Independence Day at Maunalua Bay Foundation, Save Foodland petition.
Oh, yes, you were co-conspirators, weren't you?
Yes, we were.
Well, as usually whenever you want to come up with solutions, you first define the problem. How would you define the problem about the Great Lawn? Some people may not even know what the Great Lawn is or what a strip mall is that's being proposed for Maunalua Bay. Paige, you want to give us openers on that? How would we define what the problem is?
Well, I believe the issue on the table is that Kamehameha Schools Bishop Estate wants to put in a strip mall. I believe with Foodland, they're using Foodland as the carrot, as the anchor, to put in a strip mall in the Great Lawn area, which is the area between Hawaii Kai Drive and Keahole Avenue, right across from Maunalua Bay in Hawaii Kai. It's oceanfront property, basically.
And did not we come to bat for the community? Didn't you champion a petition out in front of Foodland before they closed because we love them, we wanted them to stay?
Laura and I
For
did,
weeks.
yes.
You guys
We
did that, and didn't people have a lot of sympathy for Foodland?
They
Yes.
did. We had a lot of sympathy for Foodland. We had people, in fact, the workers at Foodland came out and thanked us for fighting to try and keep Foodland there. And Janai Wall herself contacted us and said, thank you so much for fighting to keep Foodland, and it just can't happen. And you know, the community was just incensed that they were leaving Hawaii Kai.
Yeah, it was hard for them to take, and I remember we had a commendation, almost a send-off town hall meeting at Kaiser High School, where hundreds of people showed up, really thanked them and gave them a blessing, and hopefully for them to return someday. But Laura, did you know that they were going to return on the strip mall?
I did not, and I'm not thrilled about the concept, unfortunately. I do miss Foodland, and I would welcome them back into Hawaii Kai, but not in a new development.
Is it possible that Kamehameha Schools is using that goodwill that they had to say, well, look, we're going to bring Foodland back for you, but hey, by the way, we're going to have to create another shopping center. How many shopping centers we already have in Hawaii Kai?
3.
Actually, we have four. One is stillborn.
We have 4.
One is the Kalama Valley one has been
Yeah.
Actually, yeah.
a bit difficult. Not too much really got off the ground other than the auto parts store and the Thai
Actually, you have
restaurant.
5 then, because you have the one where Roy's and Outback is, Kalama
that's part of
Valley,
the town
Hawaii
center.
Kai, Coke Arena, and then Hawaii Kai Town Center.
That would be
It's attached.
multiply. Yeah, it would be. But the fact is, we have 3 very vibrant, active ones.
Yes.
But we do not have a Foodland, and the fondness of that organization is certainly missed in Hawaii Kai.
Well, here's a theory that I have that constituents in your area share is that we're down to one grocery store. I wouldn't consider Costco a grocery store. Yes, they sell food, but they'll
I'm
also
sure all the
give you.
constituents would agree with that, being that you can save money.
They're also there to sell you diamonds and vacations and cars and clothes. So I wouldn't classify them as a grocery store. And none of us are farmers anymore. So in order to be a contributing member of society and pay my taxes, I need to be able to quickly access my food. And our community is quite large, and one grocery store is very congested as it is. Specials are here in the morning, 6 a.m. They're off the shelf. It's not restocked. They can't keep up.
Yeah.
They can't keep up, and that's how I feel. And then furthermore, these landowners who currently own the Hawaii Kai Towne Center, all oceanfront marina frontage. Not one business faces the water to take advantage of the view. They have no problem having huge concrete windowless structures like the storage facility and the Costco structure. So what would they build on this? I don't believe it would be anything attractive.
Aesthetically speaking, what is the most prime piece of real estate in that shopping center area, and what is it being used for?
Parking.
The prime piece of real estate that's on the waterfront, it's right by the bridge.
Parking. It's
No,
used for
there's
storage and
storage.
parking.
It's the public storage. And
Yes.
there's nothing wrong with the public storage business, but in terms of what was available to do that,
Yes.
I think what we're saying is that we obviously can do better than that. Where's the Great Lawn and what's so beautiful about it? For those who think, oh, the Great Lawn versus, hey, I want to go shopping.
The
why?
Great Lawn is directly, it's a pretty large piece of property, but it's zoned preservation land. It has been
Key point.
forever zoned preservation land. And it's directly across the bay from Mauna Loa Bay. Directly across the bay. It's the
highway.
ducks live there, across the highway. Thank you, Laura. It's directly across the highway. The ducks live there. It's adjacent to, right behind it, is the very first East Honolulu dog park, which is, these people fought for years to get a dog park there. They maintain this dog park. They love this dog park. It's a huge asset to the community. And
Would the dog park necessarily have to be moved or relocated?
we don't, well, it depends
That
on
was
what
rumored,
kind
I know.
of, yeah, but what kind of food land are they going to put in there? Are they going to put a full service food land like they had in Coco Marina? Or are they going to put in a food land that's sort of mini food land, like 1,000 square feet or something? We don't know. They have not been forthcoming with their plans or what they want to
In fact,
do.
And let's not forget, the owner has the right to lease to whom he wants, when he wants, for how long he wants.
Right.
So dangling this carrot to get food land doesn't mean they'll remain there.
That's true, but I think because it is preservation, the zoning, the city council, and i.e. a public hearing would have to precede any preservation land to have a structure built
Right.
on it. So in effect, what we're doing with a town hall meeting is to bring, I think, a precursor of any hearing to see where people are standing. Now, if we could look at what some of the polls have indicated, Kamehameha Schools Bishop Estate had sent out emails saying, hey, 72% of the people are in favor of this. It's okay. People are behind us. They want food land. They love food land.
But what
And-
was the question? I don't mean to
Well,
interrupt you, but what was the question they asked in the survey?
we were never shown how they worded the question, but I know my office basically has done 2 polls, and it comes exactly opposite to where those who are against the strip mall are saying they're in the 80, high 70, 80%. Both of them averaged together is probably 79%, saying, look, we don't need it. We don't have the need to make a strip mall on that great lawn. And I think when we call people together, it may be the test of the pudding is in the tasting, that people show up and say, yeah, it's a great idea, and it's a chance for everybody to kind of weigh in. Laura?
Right. Well, I can't speak for anybody else why they signed the petition or got involved with the petition.
How many people signed the petition, by the way?
Thousands.
Thousands. We had
Thousands of people.
something
Yeah.
like 300 pages or more than that with 30 signatures
That's
each.
a lot of community
people.
goodwill then.
Yeah, so my reason for getting involved with the petition was to evoke a sense of business responsibility out of Coco Marina. And I know money makes the world go round, but it baffles me that we have to have insurance on our cars, we have to put infrastructure underground before you can have a development, and never once Is it ever considered what we need to survive to live in that neighborhood? It's all left up to corporate choice. And it baffles me.
When you speak of survival, I know when I go to door to door, 60% of the people aren't home because they're busy making a living to pay the
Yes.
mortgages, to make their kids and all the other things in the budgets meet. And it's contrary to the image that many people have of the Hawaii Kai community. It's a hard-working, long and painful, not a luxury life at all.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's go back to the Great Lawn and what is proposed. What does it look like? Do we have a visual of the? I have a visual of a before and later on the flower. I don't know if they have a visual that can kind of zero in where it says later. It's basically a strip mall that shows cars that can park in the front, and it may not be. It's the later. Excellent camera. Alelo, you guys are just super technicians. Thank you so much. And by the way, this is a plug for Alelo at the state capitol. They are the geniuses that make us look good and sound well. What we've got there on the right of the screen is the photo of what a simulated strip mall would look like on the Great Lawn. And the question is, how many shops, how many cars, and by the way, how do you get in and out? How do you get in and out?
How tall? The same
Thank you, guys.
owner has the structure across the street 4 stories high.
Paige, what do you think of that?
Well, I have a lot of issues with putting in a strip mall there because my first issue, of course, is that it's preservation land.
Okay.
There are not many pieces of preservation land left in Hawaii Kai, and they keep getting turned over for development. And what is to say that Kamehameha Schools is actually going to build a food land there? If they can get the zoning rechanged, they can do whatever they want with that property. They can put a strip mall in and say, oh, you know what, food land just isn't going to fit. They could do that. And there's nothing to stop them. The property's rezoned and they own it. They can do what they want with it. You know, the fight, I believe, has to be at the zoning level, first of all.
City Council. And
City Council at the zoning level. Stop changing preservation land to build on it. It's unnecessary.
Somebody had the foresight to put it into preservation land for
Exactly.
a reason.
precisely,
Exactly.
and it reminds me of why every elected official in East Honolulu is going to be a co-sponsor of that, not only in the sense of my office, but Senator Sloan, Senator Thielen, Representative Hashim, Councilman Stanley Chang, and the Hawaii Kai Neighborhood Board. The first time in the history, I think, of our community that all elected officials say, this is an important issue, we need to bring it before the community.
Good for you guys.
I think it's a good part of making history and cooperating. It's not an ideological or it's not a party issue, it's a community issue because, let's face it, we all love our community. We want to do what we can do for it. But we should also give them the benefit of the doubt in that Kamehameha Schools Bishop Estate has owned actually all of that land, which in historical context, Kaiser did the development of Hawaii Kai in the 60s, designated certain areas. You mentioned there's no farmers in Hawaii Kai. Well, they're farmers, you can't eat their food.
No, we individually are not farmers.
But we have the basically horticulturalists and maybe a little bit of edible vegetables in Kamehameha Valley, which thank God now has renewed leases and they can stay there for another 15 years. Until then, and that's going to be the next. If we're around in 15 years, I'm going to interview you guys again saying, what happened to Kamehameha Valley? The leases expired, and then what did they do to all that farmland? We as a community have to be thinking about that now, but that's another program, another show. But for today, what are some of the things that you think are the solutions to this dilemma?
I think that Kalama Valley has a perfect location for a grocery store, and I think that Kalama Valley, including all of Hawaii Kai, would welcome Foodland back in that location.
Now, Laura, what's the history of the Kalama Valley vending controversy? And this is for people who live in Kalama Valley, if you are watching, to know that I think there was an attempt to get a mini convenience store, not necessarily a 7-Eleven, but something like that. And what happened?
I believe the community didn't want alcohol served there.
The alcohol issue, the noise, the traffic. And it was something that I think the community really rose up, if you will, and said, no, that's not in the best interest of our community. The more recent discussion on that was, well, maybe they wouldn't be necessarily against a food land that maybe have a bit of alcohol in a smaller capacity than a huge one.
Well, and I can see the pros and cons about the mini mart and versus the grocery store. Is typically a mini mart could be 24-hour service. It's a mile from a beach. A grocery store doesn't necessarily have to serve alcohol, just like the Thai restaurant doesn't serve alcohol, but you may bring your own. There's ways around that. And Foodland was not a 24-hour stop, so it would be open during normal business hours, and at night it would not disturb the peace of the neighbors.
Paige, what's your understanding of Foodland's consideration of Kalama Valley? What have you heard?
My understanding is that they said that no. I mean, they were just that's not an option for a location for them. And I believe it came down to location.
Yeah, which, when you pencil out the numbers, it probably didn't equal a profitable location.
And I actually sort of agree with that. I agree that it's probably not the best location for them. However, they were given an option to stay in Kokomarina. And for whatever reason, however that whole ball fell down, they chose to leave Kokomarina. They were not pushed out.
Give us your understanding of what took place.
There was another bid on the table for the property at more money, and there were other issues that came into play.
You can name names. You can say Walgreens.
Walgreens met the asking price for the square footage, and there were, I believe, Laura knows the numbers on this one. They were asked to do $3 million in renovations. Walgreens said we can do it right now. Foodland said we don't want to do it. Yeah, we could do it, but not over time. And so they said, sorry, you're not meeting the needs, so you have to go. So they could have. So
they lost the bid war, if you will.
They lost the bidding war.
They didn't put the money on the table.
Right, basically.
Laura, you disagree? They put the money on the table.
I wasn't in those negotiations, so
and neither were any of us, really.
I can't say, but what I can say is, if you go back and look at the time, the majority owner of Kokomarina that leases this land from Bishop Estate was quoted in the paper that Walgreens fluffed the deal by giving $3 million of entire mall property upgrades in addition to the lease that they wanted, that Foodland couldn't compete with. And Foodland said, I would love to give that to you too, but I can't pay that all at one time. So they were on a month to month, and the lease wasn't going up, it wasn't going away. There was more money on the table. And I understand money makes the world go round, and maybe the owners didn't have the money to upgrade their property, and Walgreens was their savior. I just was hoping the petition would show that they're in business to rent space to make money. My money buys food more than anything else. Keep the grocery store. Maybe it couldn't be Foodland on the door anymore, but it needed to be a full-service grocery store.
Are you suggesting that Foodland could have sublet to Petco the way that, in effect, now 60% of Foodland is now Petco, right?
Why not?
I mean, I thought it was going to be the lion's share of Walgreens, but it's kind of flipped.
Weren't they already moving in that direction with the coffee shop, with the cream puffs,
good point.
the sushi bar? They were already moving
sublessor of choice is almost always Petco. Walgreens and Petco are side by side in almost every development. But if Foodland couldn't afford that at Kokomarina, that situation at Kokomarina, why can they now afford oceanfront? A store oceanfront property in Hawaii Kai.
See, I've never heard that.
Oh, you're back to the strip mall now.
Yeah, the strip mall. They can't afford that at Kokomarina. Why can they now afford to lease oceanfront property from Kamehameha Schools in another location? And Kokomarina was not oceanfront property. Is this place going to be smaller? Is it going to be cheaper? Is Kamehameha Schools now giving them a quarter a square foot deal or something?
Those are definitely unknowns, but the only thing and why the urgency, just so our viewers know that we're not overreacting, that there is a movement afoot seriously and officially and legally to change the Sustainable Community Plan to include a strip mall on the Great Lawn. So we're not just hyping people up and getting them upset and getting excited and saying, oh yeah, we want to do a protest and jump up and down with signs, But this is something that is afoot, of which the community is now alerted to, and you two as leaders in the community are saying, okay, well, let's let the public know what's going on, and thank you guys for coming on the show to do that, because hopefully this will be viewed before the town hall meeting, where everybody should come out and give your view. And whether you love Bishop Estate or you don't think very fondly of them, come out to the town hall meeting. All the elected officials are behind it. It's at a very convenient location at Kamehameha School, 7 o'clock to 8:30, and we're going to invite those who we've been talking about, Kamehameha Schools, Bishop Estate. We're going to invite Janai herself, Foodland, Sally Sullivan's daughter, and the Department of Transportation, so we know some of the actual ins and outs of what traffic implications would follow.
And anybody who lives anywhere from Waimanalo to Ainahaina or Niu Valley should be coming to these meetings too. It affects all of East Honolulu. This is not a Hawaii Kai issue.
That's why we didn't bring the Waimanalo rep in onto this one. Maybe that was a little bit beyond it. But you're right, there's a lot of people from Waimanalo going through the
They used
through
to.
the
They
corridor.
used to use, a lot of them
A lot
signed
of
our
the corridor.
petition. Yeah, Foodland served everybody from Waimanalo to Ainahaina.
Paige, let's go back to the neighborhood board, which you sit on. Has the
Yes.
board taken any positions, or I know it's been a discussant on this one. Is there some possibility that that might be considered in the future, or what's the board's sense of this? And then I know
No,
you guys are
actually, the
full
neighborhood board did a
position.
motion in September of last year. We
Okay.
did a motion that recommended that the city and county make no changes to the East Honolulu Sustainable
Plan.
Community Plan affecting the existing urban growth boundary or preservation and agricultural zoned land designations. In particular, this includes the Great Lawn parcel on Klanaonoli Highway between Keoholi Street and Hawaii Kai Drive. That's one. And then in July of last year, actually, we put together, the Hawaii Kai neighborhood board itself put together a resolution in support of protecting the preservation of that Great Lawn entryway into Hawaii Kai. So you can go onto the Hawaii Kai Neighborhood Board website and look at this resolution and look at the minutes of the meetings from last September and see our motions for this. And we have a huge stance on this. We do not want this development to happen.
So clearly you guys have been on record, not just my office
Yes.
making noise and shouting, but it's the community's effort.
Yes.
Is there any evidence that the 72% that Kamehameha Schools suggests is for this, in terms of, are we all in the wrong network? We only talk to the people that don't like it? Or is there something missing in terms of the validity, if you will, of some of these numbers? They say 72% are for their strip mall, and they emailed us out to various constituents, of which were then forwarded to my office. So I'm not giving anything other than what they said that is the reality.
Well, I wasn't participant in that poll, so I don't know what the questions were. I don't know where they got their list. You know, if say the people who got to participate in the poll are alumni in our neighborhood or have children currently enrolled in the school, and properties like this, proposed property, fund that school, of course they would vote for it. So I don't know who got to participate.
We only know
I can
of
make an
one
assumption.
Person.
We know of one person who was interviewed for almost a half hour, and it seemed as though, at least in the political arena, they're called push polls. That, you know, if we did this, what do you think about that? And it was a continual sort of, well, how would you like this? And then what if we did? It was a lot of, rather than yes or no, straightforward stuff. And again, this is third-party stuff, so I don't want to go too far with that.
So
but
it's more like a market research rather than a definitive, I want to build this and I want Foodland as a partner?
I think that's a very good way of describing it. It was massaging the data and then seeing where people could be pushed to agree or disagree. And I think when you do push polls, you can make people agree with just about anything. If you say, you know, if you realize that your representative beats his dog, would you vote for him? I mean, it's like, oh.
If there were no other developments in Hawaii Kai, would you agree to a strip mall?
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
You remind me of one other point I want to clarify, that people may have a sympathy vote for Kamehameha Schools of Bishop Estate because for 20-some years they never had any tenants really to speak of in Kalama Valley. The reality and the truth of the matter is, though, they had a master lease by which one company even though it never subleased with any success, paid Kamehameha Schools, Bishop Estate, every month, every year for 20 years, and lost a lot of money. It must have been a lost leader for taxes or other reason. So Kamehameha Schools didn't lose money at Kalama Valley. And that's something, quite frankly, I had proposed to Kamehameha Schools almost a year ago. Why don't we have a town hall meeting on what the community thinks about what would be best to go into Kalama Valley? And they said, no, we want to combine it with the strip mall. They didn't say strip mall, they want to combine it with the Great Lawn discussion. I say, on the one hand, they're going to love you because you're asking for their opinion of Kalama Valley. On the other hand, they're going to hate you because my sense is, Kamehameha Schools, and this is before I'd done the poll, that people are not probably going to like this very much. They said, well, we'll get back to you. And it's been a year that nothing has transpired. So we're still waiting to see what is next. But we do know for sure the changing of the Sustainable Communities Plan to put in a strip mall is afoot.
Yes, that's what they're trying to do.
They're knocking on the door.
So are you guys going to do another petition? We've got another minute to wrap up. It's time for closing comments about where do we go from here? What do we do? And what
We show up to the town hall meeting.
Show up to the town hall meeting.
Show up to the town hall meeting, voice your opinion, good or bad, it doesn't matter. But
if people want to come, do they have to talk?
No.
No.
Just showing up, but putting their feet in the door.
People showing a community wall, showing the community support. It's you can't put a price on that. You can't put a price on that. To just
showing up.
Yes, to just show up and be there and listen and hear what everybody has to say. They say information is power, right? So
yes. And I hate that we're in this position because I think that a private landowner should be able to do what they want to do with their land. But in this case, they're asking the public, our city council, to rezone a piece of preservation land to make it commercial. And I appreciate the opportunity to weigh in on my opinion on that. And
I appreciate you two being here and sharing with the community and helping with us to invite the community to come out March 21 to Kamehameha School, 7 to 8:30. It's only an hour and a half, and I think Jamie's going to have some cookies or punch, or I mean, you're not going to get fed, but you're going to have a few things to munch on, but to consider what this issue is about a strip mall for Kamehameha Schools, Bishop Estate, and for you, the community, the people of Hawaii Kai. Paige, Altonn, thank you so much. Laura Buck, thank you. And thank you for viewing. This is Representative Gene Ward saying until next time, a word with Ward. Aloha.